It's time to talk about the very worst comic books of the last week. We have what is the staple of this program here, a Brian Michael Bendis comic, and we're going to go to the indie scenes. We're actually going to bring in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from IDW. And here with me, as always, is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. Doc, how you doing, buddy?
I am here, and my brain hurts from these comics.
You're still here. I thought you would have quit by now, but I appreciate the perseverance. I know you think that you're just an enormous, what was it, callous that you said you are? But one day, I'm going to get you to crack. It's going to happen. But until then, if you are enjoying these, if you appreciate Doc and I taking these bullets for you, reading the very worst comic books and telling you exactly how bad they are, definitely give us a thumbs up. We'll keep doing these videos. Now let's get right into Brian Michael Bendis, because you're not going to beat this. Although I think this week's pretty competitive. Justice League 72. We know the Justice League are about to die. It's got multiple artists: Brian Michael Bendis, Simon Kudransky, Manuela Lupacchino. This comic book looks like absolute dog shit. Normally, Brian Michael Bendis comics look pretty good because they always saddle them with really good artists and kind of ruin their work. But this thing looks as bad as it reads.
It does. It's very strange. I mean, I get it. Like, okay, you're going to use one artist for like the Justice League dark parts, and then you want somebody that's a very dark and dour style art for the Justice League dark, and then you want a more superhero-y artist for the regular Justice League parts. I get that, but Simon Kudransky fucking sucks, man. His Zatanna is quite possibly the most hideous woman I have ever seen drawn into a comic book, not named She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, this thing is awful, and it reads just as poorly. They introduced this new villain who's the original Lord of Chaos, whose name was stricken from the record because they were so evil we could never bring them back to Earth by uttering their name. Obviously, they have returned.
I feel like I've read that comic before, like
We've all read this
times. I thought, no, I'm like pretty sure we read this like a couple of weeks ago.
They do this stuff a lot, but the real problem is, it's a generic concept. You could make it work, but this character who's supposedly like as old as time, been around for thousands upon thousands of years, talks like a teenage girl.
Yeah, it talks like a millennial girl, like a xennial girl, whatever the fuck the current like 14-year-old girls on TikTok. Does this guy have a fucking TikTok too?
It takes away all the gravity of the character and the threat that they represent, because the words coming out of their mouth are so synonymous with teenage boys and girls. You can't take the threat seriously. I was just kind of laughing at it and how stupid the character sounded.
And it took the same fucking approach for everyone. I am this entity that's been stricken from the record, and you should totally join me. And then they don't, and then they fight. I felt like I watched the same fucking scene 3 times.
Oh yeah, you did. And then there's like this weird, are the Justice League part of One Star Squadron where they're doing birthday parties for money now?
Apparently so. And while
my best part was when Naomi's crying. This is the happiest day of my life other than joining the Justice League. It's like,
it's a fucking carnival.
It's a fucking birthday party. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's like,
is this supposed to make me feel something for the character? It makes me think that they're 10 years old and they shouldn't be on a superhero team.
Oh, and God damn it, they had to go with the punching, the fucking phrase, the punching. If anyone ever utters that in a comic book again, I feel like I should punch them in the fucking teeth.
I think everyone would like to punch Brian Michael Bendis in the balls right about now. This Justice League run has been absolutely terrible. This is the beginning of the last story arc. Why they chose Brian Michael Bendis to incorporate the Justice League and Justice League Dark into this final crossover story instead of Ram V, who is doing Justice League Dark and is actually a good writer, I'll never know. There's no characterization. Nobody has their own voice. Except for maybe, a couple of the mystical kind of characters. But for the most part, all the other characters just sound and look the same. The art by Kudransky is so dark, you don't even know which characters talk.
Etrigan the Demon had a very distinct cadence and speaking pattern. But Dr. Fate, I couldn't tell a difference between Dr. Fate and Detective Chimp. I couldn't tell a difference between Xanadu and Zatanna. Couldn't tell the difference between Batman and fucking Naomi. The Batman parts really irked me. Naomi, Black Canary, and who was the third chick that was, oh wait, never mind. I'm sorry. It was Green Arrow, but he was also he was the third chick. In that little, yeah. I mean, other than the fact that the most amusing part of this is that essentially the Justice League Dark lives in the Hall of Justice's basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Cellar.
yeah. Basically, they just got shoved into the basement.
And obviously, it's leading up to this big confrontation because this Lord of Chaos wants to take over Black Adam as the vessel, so they can have a physical presence. And he starts talking real sassy, nothing like a Black Adam character would ever speak. The rest of the Justice League show up to kind of back him up, and they have this big fight, and he just gets like smacked. And next thing you know, that character turns into Black Adam. They say Shazam, and that's who they are.
Yep. Sure, why the fuck not at this point? Like,
because when it happens, I see it happen. I'm like, when did that happen? I go back and I was like, oh, I guess when the character slapped him the last time.
Apparently,
she took his overpower.
Apparently, all she needed to do was like pin him.
It's like a WWE. If I pin you, I get your earned. I get your powers.
Yes, I get your powers. It's not the worst Bendis comic that he's written in a while, but none of it really made sense. I still don't buy this character as a big bad that can take out the Justice League. They just haven't established its cred.
It tells you something about the state of Brian Michael Bendis in comics, where pretty terrible is a step up as far as the quality of your writing, but this is pretty damn terrible. Do not read this comic book. Justice League 72 looks just as bad as it reads. It's a very bad comic. Now let's go over to the indie scene. We don't normally do these, but we'll probably incorporate them a little bit more on some of the bigger name properties out there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a staple. It's an enormous franchise. We're up to issue number 126. Sophie Campbell, I believe, took over at issue 101. You know what the worst part about this thing, Doc? I know you and I have some disagreements on Sophie Campbell. Sophie Campbell is a fucking great artist. You could put Sophie Campbell on a DC or Marvel book, and it wouldn't look out of place. Terrific artist, not illustrated by Sophie Campbell. It's some dude named Pablo Tunica.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, this artist is not very good. I thought, I'm like,
you have a great artist, but you let this really good artist that's a bad writer write and pull in a shitty artist to take over.
I couldn't tell the difference between any of these characters.
That was a big problem, was it? Because right at the beginning, I was like, what kind of fucking amateur hour shit is this? They do a scene transition. They're characters of a similar species. Well, they're the same species, but there are some slight variations as far as their designs. But there's no transition scene. I thought it was the same dude talking. I was like, why is he talking to this guy? He was just talking to the Triceratops.
Yeah, exactly. I could not distinguish. There was nothing unique about the way that a lot of these were rendered. I don't know who any of these characters are. I don't know who they're talking to. I admit I am a newbie to coming back into Turtles. I haven't read Turtles since the Image run in like the way early 90s, whenever they got the license back then. And then Last Ronin. That's it. I don't know who any of these fucking characters are. I felt like I was reading a furry comic.
It was so weird. Like there's one point I was like, is this human like in a relationship with this albino turtle that's so small? Then I realized the turtle's a baby. But then there's the line that the human is going home with like a donkey. I was like, is this lady fucking this donkey or something? Or I think it's her girlfriend. I think they're girls. It's like, is this lady like scissoring this donkey?
Yeah, I feel like I'm reading a weird furry comic book, and it kind of disturbed me. I also couldn't tell what the fuck was going on, so
I couldn't tell. That might have been a dude. Maybe it was a dude that's banging this donkey. I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe it is, or maybe it's a chick getting banged by a man donkey. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure the donkey was a lady because she kind of looked like a librarian.
I would not go with that. I mean, I think you're being presumptuous, sir.
Hey, far be it for me to be presumptuous. Perhaps the donkey
identifies
non-binary. I don't know.
Yes. I just don't want to think too much about a chick and a donkey. We're not in Tijuana, sir. Honestly, I couldn't even tell the fucking turtles apart for half of it.
They get neckerchiefs, like they have ascots on. That's the way you tell them apart until Raphael goes up.
Yeah, I was like, and then Raph shows up with nothing, and I'm like, well, what the fuck?
No, he's got a black bandana because he's the sheriff.
Oh yeah, he's the sheriff of fucking Toontown or wherever the shit they are. I was waiting for Roger Rabbit to show up. This was a gibberish comic. I don't
amateur hour storytelling. There is no visual cues on where you were, what was happening.
It jumped
even
a lot.
The punk frog things that you're like, oh, punk frogs, not very cool.
No, it's really, there was nothing really that cool about it. But then the one punk frog that I guess is a girl decided that one of the turtles was cute after the fight ended, or she was like turned on by their ninja skills. It was weird.
You know what else is weird is this is all just a misunderstanding. They think Donatello kidnapped whoever the fuck Bonnie is. And instead of being like, hey, why do you think I kidnapped Bonnie? I don't even know who that is. And talking about it, be like, no, see, that's not me. Instead of talking about it, they just decided to rumble.
Apparently.
It's just bad storytelling when you get into situations like this. And apparently they've lost Donatello and Alopex, who I think they're banging too. So we got a turtle and some type of Arctic fox or something.
And he's got a robot shell or something now? I admit,
plastic.
I'm coming into this book completely fucking blind. I got the gist of what Sophie Campbell was going for here. I just didn't think she executed it very well.
No.
And the artist did not do her any favors in storytelling.
Now, there's some parts in the action where like someone's supposed to be hitting someone else over the top of the head, but they forgot to show the part with the strike.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Like I would give this comic about a 1.5, like a 1 star. It looked like there was an aim here, and then at the end we get like the whole like I don't know what the deal is with the one Triceratops and the brain thing, and then the baby orange Triceratops that might be like their kid. They're gonna go to the remains of the Terrordrome and use some thing to age the Triceratops baby up. Okay, cool. So we're about to get infant that gets magically time jumped so that they are no longer a liability, because I haven't seen this 3 million times.
Yeah, but if you got like a 9-month-old in an adult's body, they're not going to function right. You know what I mean?
But
people are going to treat them like an adult, but they're actually a 9-month-old. So like emotionally, that's going to fuck them all up. That's a stupid concept. They shouldn't do that. Was this a jumping on point for TMNT for you?
No, because I really don't care about all these furry fucking people. Like TMNT was best for me when there were very few mutants and a lot of humans involved. Now we're at all mutants, and like you had Casey Jones, and I think that was supposed to be April O'Neil.
No, with Mona,
with the baby, with the
I don't think so.
With the little white baby turtle. I thought that was supposed to be. I thought that was supposed to be
April O'Neil scissoring that donkey?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think that's April. It couldn't be.
But regardless, there were 2 fucking humans in this comic book, and I really don't care about furry comics, and that's what we were getting.
And what was worse, Doc?
I would say Justice League was by far worse because it was just incomprehensible gibberish.
Hey, at least the terrible furry characters had their own unique voices. I'll give them that.
Yep.
Don't read these comic books. These are absolutely terrible. If you've had enough of the worst of the week, we actually talk about the very best comics this week. Definitely check this out. If you're looking for something, you can go to your comic shop and actually want to read and not want to hurl when you check it out. So there are some good comics this week. Just don't read Justice League and TMNT.